recording also? Can you
It's
just
recording
check?
now. Yep.
It is counting. Okay. Now, there are many different types of varga. Varga means division. It can be any type of division, divisional charts, anything which is put in and divided into portions. And each of these portions is called a varga. Okay? So, what does Katapayadi Varga imply? Why is it called Katapayadi Varga? What is the meaning of the name? Well, the only reason it has this name is because it consists of Kavarga, Tavarga, Pavarga, and Yavarga. So whenever you see a name of any Varga, you first look and see if it's based on Sanskrit, if it's based on the alphabet, then the name itself is going to reveal how it's made, how it is built up. Like you have in your lessons learned of something called Akachatatapayasha Varga. Akachatatapayasha Varga. 8 parts. It consists of A. When I say A, it means everything following A. So all the vowels. Ka Varga. That is Ka, Ka, Ga, Ga, Nga. I'll show you that in a minute. Those Varga. Cha. That means everything which is related to Cha Varga. The Cha syllables in Sanskrit. Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Nya. And so on. In that way, the name itself will reveal what this Varga is about, what it consists of. So just the name is enough for you to know how it is configured. Just the name is enough. So if somebody ever tells you, do you know Achutayadi Varga? You say, yes, you just told me. A-cha-ta-ya. That's it. Right? And then you can make the rest of the boxes based on what follows. A will be all the vowels after A. Cha will be every sound which is after cha. Until you get to the next one. Ta or ta. And every sound thereafter. What is particular about Katapayadi Varga is that it is defined by these 7 planets. The nodes are not included here. So this is what you would group in the group of Stira Karakas. That means from Sun to Saturn, those which have a body. We're not speaking of that which does not have a body. And everything which is defined to have a body will be done with Katapayadi Varga. This also has a different relevance from the spiritual perspective. And that is that every one of us, despite having a soul, has a body. And it is our name which has brought us into the body. The name has captured the soul in the body. And this can be used to calculate what that name means for us as human beings, as part of this world. This is one of the most fundamental principles of mantra. Your first mantra is your name, and that name has brought your soul in this body. Okay? That name has brought you here. You think you got your name after? No. You got your name before. People just named you after. Alright? That is why we can actually look at your chart and find your name. Otherwise, how is it possible? So, Katapayadi Varga is going to help us understand this. And here we come to the first sutra of the Jaimini Sutras. Please repeat after me. Upadesha,
Upadesha,
Vyakya,
Vyakya,
Syama.
Shama.
Wonderful. Now, you will notice something very particular about this sutra. It's the first sutra. The first thing we hear Jaimini say or write is this. So this has great relevance and depth. You can appreciate why. Because if you started a book, if you started writing something, the first thing you're going to say is really important for you to understand who wrote this, why was it written, who is the guru of this person, what is the mantra for you to know so that you can learn this sutras. So this first sutra is the most important for us to even begin learning this. Do you appreciate that? Do you understand that? So, if we read this as it is written here, it'll say Upadesha. Upadesha we know means advice. But Upadesha has a different meaning also. It comes from the word Upa means Upasana. Upa refers to Upasana. So, he has actually told us this work is an Upasana. Implication? If you're learning this, it means you're ready to do Upasana. You're ready to be spiritual. You may already be spiritual. You are right now practicing this as a spiritual penance. Do you understand? He's actually implying by this, if you're learning this, it means you're spiritual. If you're not spiritual, you should not be learning this. If you're not prepared to do Upasana, you should not be reading this. So a prime criteria for learning the Jaimini Sutras is that you're practicing mantra, is that you are going to be meditating, trying to understand God, okay? And that you are being prepared for Upasana. It is from this sutra, this word rather, even just this first portion of the word, we'll be doing a lot of breaking of words in this work, that this simply implies that this is a path towards the Veda. This is what helps us decide this is a spiritual work and this is a Vedanga, a limb of the Veda. You can learn Jyotish where it's not a Vedanga. This is a Vedanga. It asks us to do Upasana. Upadesha. Desha means country also, right? Like place, country.
Yeah.
Yes. So, when you're learning this, you will have to learn about the culture and the country from which this work came. Because if you understand that, then you'll understand the work. You'll understand the philosophy. What that implies is when we talk about some of the sutras, I'll have to help you understand some things about the divine aspects of Hinduism or of the Vedic path. You can learn other works on Jyotish and you may not have to take into account the culture and language. But for Jaimini Sutras, you have to. You have to learn it. Because if you learn it, you can adapt it to another culture. It also implies that there will be a lot of focus on language. And for us to really be able to learn the Jaimini Sutras, we have to know the Sanskrit that he's speaking on. Now, fortunately, you'll be able to read it like this. So at least we've come that far. Every sutra will be transliterated for you. The meaning, however, is necessary because you cannot just translate Jaimini Sutras. You cannot. You can translate Parashara's Hora Shastra. But if you translate Jaimini Sutras, you lose the meaning by not using the same Sanskrit words because he has coded the sounds in numbers. And you cannot do that with anything other, with a translation, sorry. You cannot. Unless you're prepared to write 5 translations of one sutra and leave a commentary saying there might be more translations. You understand? So the Sanskrit has a key in itself. Desha. Okay? Vyakya Shamaha. Now, Vya is a reference to his guru. I'll tell you why soon. Kya means that which is well known or famous. Kya Shamaha is also a word. Kya Shamaha is also a word. Specifically, this part, or rather this part of the sutra, is a specific reference to that this is coming from my guru, who is well known as Vedavyasa. That is what he is saying in this part of the sutra. Now, as you're going to see, we're going to start dwelling on this sutra a bit more. I'm going to start churning out some interpretations from this. But let's start with something very fundamental. Can you count how many syllables are in this mantra? I mean this sutra. U,
Pa, De,
De,
Sa,
Sha, Vya,
Ya,
Kya, Sha,
Sha,
Ma.
Ma.
8. Gayatri Chand. So this is a mantra. You can say this is a mantra. Upadesha Vyaka Shama. Upadesha Vyaka Shama. Upadesha Vyaka Shama. Imagine, he's hidden a mantra in the first sutra. And he's hidden that you have to learn the culture, that you must learn the language, you must be spiritual. My guru is Vyasa, he's very well famous for this. This is the work that he has propounded and he's taught. Everything is hidden in this. Now, unless you know a little bit from the tradition, you will not know how to derive all the interpretations from this. So we will learn something now. We will learn to walk a little bit, because we have to learn Pada. So our tradition, Achyutananda Rasa, he's given this beautiful sound, or this song, which we have to learn. We repeat with me. Sasavada,
Sasavada,
Pararaja,
Pararaja,
Sasavada,
Sasavada,
Pararaja.
Pararaja.
Now, Savada is actually Samvada. We just say Sasavada, okay? But it's Samvada. Samvada means you're communicating, right? You and I are now in Samvada. We're talking, we're communicating. I will be speaking first, you will be speaking after you. I'll be asking a question, you'll answer, you'll ask a question, I'll answer. Samvada. Sa means with. So with Samvada. Now remember I said Sa Samvada first, and then I said Pararaja after. So whatever is the beginning of this sutra, I will apply the technique Sa Samvada to. And in that I will see who is this communication going on between. Who are the two people who are communicating? I will know from this first part, because this first part I must apply the, you can call it the frame of Sa Samvada. You see that? If I put Sa Samvada on top of this, I will get U as part of Sa, and Samvada, I'll get Padesha. So I'm dividing it based on that frame work of Sa and Samvada. Sa is one syllable, so first syllable will be like Sa. That is who it's with. Samvada will be the next three syllables, which is Padesha. So, who is this communication going on with? U is the person. Who is U? Vishnu is U. Samvada is Padesha. So Vishnu as Pada Isha. Isha means Lord. And Pada is feet. So Vishnu as Lord of the feet. There's a mantra for Vishnu. Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pasyanti Suraya Diviva Chakshura Tatam. So Jaimini has told us, if you want to learn this Jaimini Sutras, you must know that mantra for Vishnu, in which he is Lord of the feet.
Vishnu Gayatri.
Vishnu Gayatri. So this means Vishnu Gayatri. This Upadesha means Vishnu Gayatri. Wow, eh? The way he hides. Now, we should then apply Vyakya and Shama. Why did I divide it like that? Para and Raja. Para means the universe, the universal soul, if you may. That which is the spiritual world, that which is beyond. Para. And Raja is the king. So from Pararaja, I will know what is the benefit or fruit. What is that which is benefiting us from this particular sutra. I can apply Pararaja here. I can also apply Pararaja here. I can therefore also apply Sasamvada here. So I can do it both places. To understand the sutra better, we'll start with Pararaja. Vyakya. Vyakya refers to the Vyakya Mudra. Did you know this is called Vyakya Mudra?
Regular one.
Jnana mudra is called Vyakya mudra. But in the Vyakya mudra, it is a blessing, like enlightenment. This is Gyan mudra. This is when you're asking. This is what Vyasa gives you. He gives Vyakya mudra. He'll do this to you. Bless you with Vyakya. Enlightenment. Illumination is the more appropriate term for Vyakya. Syamaha. The Syamaha will tell us about the Raja. Syama means dark. You know that? Syamangim. Syamangim shashishekaram ketakam. Syama means dark. So it is referring to that Raja refers to something which is dark. Krishna is referred to as dark, or Vishnu is dark, right? So it is actually giving us some information about complexion, this Syamaha. It can tell us something about the dhyana for us to do to worship. Okay? So this could be a direct reference to Krishna. It could be a direct reference to how we must meditate. Okay. Next. I will now apply Pararaja to this. That means I'll get Upa on one part and Desha on the other. So Upa now becomes Upasana, right? So that was how I got Upasana first. And Raja becomes Desha. That is how I could say, you need to be spiritual and do Upasana, and you need to learn the culture and language from that. That's how I could divide it. Otherwise I couldn't divide it. What gives me the right to do so? Pararaja gives me the right to do so. And this famous work, this Vyakya, this enlightenment which is being given also, and is being given through somebody who was dark complexioned. Did you know Veda Vyasa had another name? His name was Krishna. He was called that because he was very dark complexioned. That's the only reason he's called that. That person who is referred to here is Sasamvada. Who is Sasamvada? Sa will be for Vya and Samvada will be here. So the person is Vya. Now we know it's Vyasa. For sure. See that? So it's not arbitrary that I'm breaking the words. I use Sasamvada to see who the communication is between. And it's between Vyasa and Jaimini. Vyasa is speaking and Jaimini is writing it down. So who is the author of this work? Vyasa. Vyasa gave him the knowledge. Jaimini coded it. So that means we must now understand this tradition a little bit better. How did Vyasa get the knowledge? His father is Parashara. Simple. So how do we know that this Jaimini is the same Jaimini that is referred to in your own yantra? Jaimini's name is written as being the recipient of the Samaveda. How do we know it's the same Jaimini as this fellow who did some Jyotish? Some people say, no, that Jaimini did the Samaveda, this other Jaimini did Jyotish. Some people argue that. I swear, it's the case. They even say that Jaimini is older than Parashara, some of them. So, what to do? They say, let them. They have their arguments. They'll say that, this Parashara or Shastra, it's so modern in its Sanskrit, so therefore, and Jaimini is so much older, so therefore we must assume Parashara was, came after Jaimini. And then they say that there's some Parashara who's a different Parashara from that who had Vyasa as his son. But in truth we know, in our tradition, the Parashara referred to is the one who wrote the Vishnu Purana and he did the Brihat Parashara or Shastra. That's the same Parashara. And Parashara in the Vishnu Purana says, my son is Vyasa, Veda Vyasa, known in this Amanvantara, Mahayuga, as Krishna Dvaipayana. And Krishna Dvaipayana, if you read the tradition, he had 4 students who received the 4 Vedas. And one of them was named Jaimini, and he received the Samaveda. And this fellow says, his guru is Vyasa, and this is the work dedicated to the knowledge of Vyasa as far as Jyotish is concerned. So we have a clear tradition of people, rishis if you may, in fact it's appropriate to say, who knew Jyotish and they knew the Veda, and Jaimini has learned this from the same tradition as Parashara and Vyasa. Cemented very nicely. It should be pretty clear. This is what we in our tradition firmly believe. And you'll see that there are too many similarities for it to be otherwise. It's like saying that this Jaimini and this Vyasa was a different Jaimini and a different Vyasa, and they both were student-teacher to each other and lived in a different time. Who also had a father called Parashara. You know? You know, it's too much to say that these are completely different group of Parashara, Vyasa and Jaimini. Okay, some people believe that. We will not argue. We'll leave them be. Now this summarizes very nicely. We discussed Sasavada and Pararaja, right? Mm-hmm. And Sasavada is the first step you take to its left foot, and Pararaja is the next step you take to its right foot. So that you should also have found from what we did yesterday. We did the Navakari, left foot, right foot. So it's left foot first, you know, because you also put right foot first, right hand first, sorry. Okay, we can move on. Yes, why is it in Gayatri Chanda? Gayatri Chanda is the base chanda. And I describe the other chandas at different speeds. They also refer to the mind at different speeds, thinking at different speeds, and also being at different levels of consciousness. Okay? This is describing in a bit more detail what I was just saying. Pada is the one step, and Pada is the whole step. That means you've walked with both left and right foot. Okay? It basically means with one Pada you have walked. With Pada it's just one step with one foot. Okay?
So we qualify walking as being one step with each foot.
Yes.
Which is it actually physically?
Principally it is, right? And it is important to understand this in the context of mantra, because when you recite a mantra once, you're not just taking one step. You've taken two steps, which means one gate. You've walked, really, based on that. You've moved with both feet. That happens with Pada. And every mantra has a chanda in which you do this. And every chanda has padas. Okay? And then we have a little bit here. We had this synchronization of brain and hands and the walking. You know, these 2 feet show the directions in the spiritual and material worlds. Left foot will be spiritual world, because it's the same as the right hand. Okay? Material would be right foot and left hand. These are connected. In this manner, as I remember, if you remember from yesterday, I was saying, in this manner the entire Hora Shastra develops from the 2 feet, as they take basically the day and the night together. Okay? Anyway, we'll be doing more of this, so don't dwell too much on this. This first sutra we call Mangala Charana. And that implies that this first sutra is actually going to tell us who Vyasa was worshipping to make sure that this work could happen, that he could write this. From here we have understood that Vishnu is the one who is being worshipped here. Remember? And it also he's also made reference to his guru, which is Vyasa. So, if you were to derive this work and say this is his real Mangala Charana, what you would do first is write the whole Vishnu Gayatri. Then you would write a mantra for his Guru Vyasa, like Vyam Veda Vyasaya Nama or Vyam Vyasadevaya Nama. You will write that down as the next thing. And then you would say that now the Mangala Charana is over. But unfortunately, it does not really capture the full meaning of that first sutra. Because in that he's also given the word syama, which is referring to a complexion, which means he's referring to a way of meditating. So after doing Vedavyas mantra, you should write down the entire dhyana of Vedavyas. Vyakyamudrikayala satkaratalam sadyoga pittastitam vame janutala daradamaparam hastam suvidyanidim vipravratta vratam prasanamanasam patorohanga dyutim parasarya maktivya punya charitam yasam smarit siddhaya. That would be appropriate to also add. Therein is described how he is sitting, which complexion he is. He has a certain luster, like a glow. They say the glow of a blue lotus. That he's holding the Vyakya Mudra. That's why it starts with Vyakya Mudrikaya. That's how it starts. That he is the son of Parashara. Parasarya Mativya Punya Charitam. That's all part of the dhyana. And actually should be added. If we were to say we have appropriately found the entire dhyana and worship from that first sutra. But then you would have to also add that upa is referring to you must do upasana, and desha means you have to know the language and also the culture. So Jaimini has quoted it very nicely. You could spend a whole day just deriving that sutra. Even you'll find other sutras, other meanings in that, if you start looking at the word upa and desha in different ways. Smart fellow, eh? About 4 or 5 meanings just from one sutra. Imagine what he does with Jyotish. So, yes, sham, or the sam here. Actually it's sham, upadesha. This sham is also a reference to that which is for the welfare of everybody. So he's giving it for everybody's benefit. It was not meant to be like hidden away per se. It's meant for the good of mankind. But those who learn the Jaimini Sutra must understand. You must use it for the good of mankind. It doesn't mean you must give all the knowledge frivolously. Whatever you learn from the Jaimini Sutras, don't just give the knowledge, but use the principles to help people. Use the principles also to know when it's good to give something or not. Right? Actually it's sham. There's a bit more upadesha here. We have the word upadesha referring to upasana, spiritual learning. We see that in the D20 chart. That's why the D20 chart of Rimshamsa is also called upasana amsa. Upasana amsa. This also refers to this as being a limb of the Veda, just like we have other parts of the Veda. Upadesha implies its advice. It has been received by a qualified teacher. Okay. Jaimini also implies this in the name of the work. What is the name of this book? Use the exact name, the whole name. What is it? Maharishi Jaimini Kritam Upadesha Sutram. You have to add that Kritam. In fact, he's hidden a mantra in the name of the work itself because of the word Kritam. Interesting. I'll tell you later. Kritam. By using the word Kritam, he means and implies that he's doing this with the blessing of his guru. Every time the word Kritam is used in a name for a work, it means I'm doing this because I promised my guru I do it. And he's blessed me to do it, or she has blessed me to do it. So this is also implied by just the name. So some of you will be going back and saying, my God, I missed the name of the work. He's hidden something here in the name itself. A whole mantra's in there. You know? There here we have the derivation, where we have U, referring to Vishnu, remember? Then we have this talk about Auma. Yeah. Next. We did all this. Pada. This has a different meaning also. You see, why are the feet considered so auspicious when it comes to the Vedic path? Why are feet raised so highly? Why do people, you see Sunday, if he comes and he touches my feet, before we start class. Why is that so important?
Direction. Gati.
Gati is important. The problem today, I'll say today in India, the common idea is that you're touching a person's feet because you're showing respect and you're honoring them. You know? But a person who knows what it means to touch the feet will never touch the feet of a politician. Okay? They won't even touch.
It has to do with karma, maybe, if the person...
Give me direction.
Direction. Gati.
Bless, may my feet walk the same path as yours. That's what it means, to touch those feet. Okay? And when you get diksha from a guru, the guru immediately will raise his foot, or she will raise her foot. And the raising of the foot is to put that foot on your head. You're supposed to actually take the foot and put on your head like that. Once that happens, diksha is complete. Complete. Some do it in a more symbolic way, spiritual way, so that you don't know that they have done it. Because it's symbolic in truth. But there is a certain power in the feet, and the full diksha comes when your foot comes under that, your head comes under that of the master's feet. Alright? Now that you will have to get to your diksha spiritual gurus to get. I will not even do it. It's not a chance. You know? Because it implies that that person is now going to completely protect your spiritual path. And this is symbolized also in the story we have of the Vamana avatar. If you remember, Vamana came to Bali, the king Bali, and he asked for 3 pieces of land. And in 2 steps, that Vamana avatar covered the entire universe, all 3 lokas, in 2 steps. And he said, you promised me a 3rd pace, a 3rd step. And Bali said, I have nothing but my head. He placed his foot on his head, gave him immediate diksha. Bali would become later the next Indra because of that blessing. It's a huge blessing. And it also is guaranteeing moksha, I should tell you. It guarantees moksha. Bali will get moksha. So people say, oh, he was an asura, he's a fellow who beat other people and fought other people and waged wars and caused everybody to be in ignorance, this, that. He's going to get moksha, guys. Alright? He deserved it, obviously, otherwise that wouldn't have happened. Herein we also get to the symbolism of that when we speak of Pada and the Vamana avatar, Vamana covered the 3 lokas which are represented by the entire chart. Basically all 108 padas of the nakshatra. Yes, as we see here, it refers to Maharishi Jaimini prostrating at the feet of Vishnu. And you do that with a mantra, the Vishnu Gayatri. Sham is the Mangala Karaka Bija. By Mangala Karaka, it means that which is auspicious. We refer to Mars as Mangala because when he is in that stage, he is auspicious. He is protecting you. Okay? So Mangala Karaka Bija. It represents Icha Shakti. How many Shaktis are there? Icha Shakti.
3. Shila. 3.
Icha Shakti and?
Shri Shakti.
Shri Shakti. Okay, then?
Bhu Shakti.
Bhu Shakti. Then? How about Neela?
Neela Shakti.
Well, there are 4. What happened?
What is Icha Shakti?
Icha Shakti. Let's get started. Kriya Shakti.
Kriya Shakti.
Jnana Shakti. These are Shaktis of your own mind. Icha is the power of desire. Jnana is the power of knowledge. Kriya is the power to act. And Sa, or actually Sha, is Icha Shakti. And there are 2 more S's in Sanskrit. There's Sha, that's Kriya Shakti. And there's Sa, which is Jnana Shakti. Okay? We'll get to that when we do a bit more Kadapayadi. Okay? Vyakya means to explain in detail and communicate in full It also means the complete body of literature that forms the explanation or exposition. So that means when we are done with Jaimini Sutra, you should know everything about Jyotish. Ah, thank you, Jaimini. Thank you. Very nice of you. 4 chapters settled. All right. Vya or Vyam, not Vyam, but Vyam, this should be long name, is the Vyasa Bija, as used in the Vyasa mantra, Vyam Veda Vyasaya Namah. Recite that, please. Vyam Veda Vyasaya Namah. Vyam Veda Vyasaya Namah. Vyam Veda Vyasaya Namah. Now, this mantra is not given openly. This mantra, Vyam Veda Vyasaya Namah, is not prasiddha. You need diksha to recite it. Congratulations.
Did we? Yep.
Don't give it to anybody else. For everybody else, we do some funky stuff. Okay? We do some reversal. No? Chaitanya landed up on this and he said, this mantra Hare Rama Krishna, most of these people, they don't have initiation diksha, they cannot get moksha. I have a way. We will reverse Rama and Krishna and we will reverse it in 2 parts. So we'll do double reversal. That way everybody can recite it and they might get the opportunity to get the real mantra or moksha. So instead of Hare Rama Krishna, he did Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. See what he did? He reversed Rama and Krishna. We will also do some magic on this mantra. Alright? We will not change Vyam. Then we have Veda Vyasaya. The reason why Vyam and Veda Vyasaya are making it a diksha mantra is because if you take this first sound, Vyam, this must be the bija for this name. But the first sound here is Ved or Ve. So if this needed the appropriate bija to initiate, it should be Vaim. It's not Vaim. I'll show you soon also. We'll do some mantra shastra work and you'll see why. I'll explain exactly why. But this bija does not match this name. For example, Kleem Krishnaya Nama is a Nama mantra and it's a Prasiddha mantra because the Kleem matches the Krishna, the Krish. It matches. I'll show you why in mantra shastra. But this Vyam does not match this Ved. So we have to change it slightly. So it's good for general consumption. Right? So what do we do? First we reverse. We take Vyasa and Veda in reverse. So Vyasa Veda. Then we take Veda in reverse. So in case of Veda it becomes Deva. So Vyasa Deva. Then it becomes Vyam, Vyasa Devaya Nama. Everybody can recite that. And the first sound will now become Vyasa. Vya matches this Vya and it becomes Prasiddha. Vyam, Vyasa Devaya Nama. Everybody can recite that.
But this we should not give to people.
Don't give. Not even by mistake. Okay? You wait until you decide, okay, now I'll teach Jaimini, it'll be this time of year, the sun is in this sign, then you'll teach it. Otherwise, no. Okay?
So this is actually the initiation into Jaimini. Nice, that was quick.
Should we chant every day?
You decide. You decide. This is the way to reach the Guru. You have your own Jaimini mantras which are helping you with this. But it's good to know this mantra, right? It's good to know. One day you'll decide, I want to worship Veda Vyasa more seriously. You'll decide. You want to start consolidating this knowledge. So you start understanding it better. Maybe you'll do this mantra. You want to understand the Veda also. Maybe you want to learn Vedas. Now you have a mantra to learn the Vedas. How are we describing kya? Kya means naming or identifying. Somebody who is kyata or kyati is famous. So that which is well known or famous or is known by, identified by. It can also indicate or mean announcing, to promulgate or declare and proclaim, and to make well known as in praise. See, we just talked about that. Thus, the secret meaning of Vyakya is to praise Vedavyasa, his guru. And this forms the first Upadesha of these sutras. Reading the complete pada, Upadesha Vyakasyama, we under the secret advice that the mantras of one, Vishnu and Vyasa, have to be practiced. Now you know the Vishnu mantra and the Vyasa mantra. By knowing these two mantras and practicing them, you will learn this entire thing.
Which was the Vishnu mantra?
Vishnu Dacha.
Tad Vishnu paramam padam sada pasyanti surayah diviva chakshura tatam. You know it by hand?
No, it's the one you will teach later. Like I said, next year I'll teach you this.
No. I just said something. You must know this mantra and you must practice it once in a while. It's good for you. I like to meditate on this. It's very nice. Yes, Vishnu mantra. Ask me later, I'll gladly write it down. The Vyasa mantra along with the Viniyoga, Nyasa and Dikpala mantra given below. The first mantra, Vyam Veda Vyasayanama, is the standard mantra normally given to the initiated. However, based on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's reversal, I already told you this. Yeah. Okay. The name Veda Vyasa is composed of two words, Veda and Vyasa. Then we have these steps. Reverse them once, then reverse them after that. We do total Rahu Ketu on everybody, and then everything's fine.
And push them back into ignorance.
No. This is not ignorance. If you do this, you'll get profound effects. I know this from personal experience. It's a great mantra. Superb mantra. And it gives results automatically. That is the difference. Is it a wrong mantra? No. It gives fantastic results. I've done this for years. Do you know why we can just reverse these and not change the vowel sounds? Because in Katapayari Varga, the vowels have zero value. Zero. As a result of which, the vowels are supposed to be what we call the shunya, the 0 point, the void. It is from there that the soul is entering the body. Katapayadi Varga is describing this through its calculation by implying whichever vowels are there, we can change because the soul is simply entering a new body one after the other. Birth after birth. So the vowels can change and we can make them suit our agenda. But the body is not changing. And these are the consonants. That's why Veda could become Deva. It could also become Diva for that matter. Repeat after me. Sarvatra,
Sarvatra,
Savarna,
Savarna,
Bhava,
Bhava,
Rashyascha.
Rashyascha.
Wonderful. Okay? Everywhere in this work, including all references to Varanada, Bhava, and Rashi, are encoded using what? Katapayadi Varga. Nowhere in this work does Jaimini refer to a sign or house by its actual name. Nowhere does he use the house's name or the sign's name by its actual name. Each time there's a reference to any position, you have to use Katapayadi Varga to know the real meaning. For example, he'll say Mesha, and Mesha does not mean Aries. You will have to do Katapayadi Varga to know what he really means. This is what he's saying here. Wherever I have said anything, even by mistake, I'm not talking about the actual sign nor the actual house. Okay. And he says Varnada even. Varna also means colors. So anything which has a body. But he's not referring to grahas by this. Varna does not mean grahas. But it actually does imply we could use any special lagna. Any lagna, Katika lagna, Hora lagna, Shri lagna, any lagna, comes under this rule also. you could imply anything that where we have a reference to 12 points, because we are talking of 12 houses. Okay. That's how you can interpret this. We need more ghee over there.
Quickly.
What's the time? How much did we talk?
45 minutes.
Break.
You can pause it, right? Or you want to stop?
No, just stop it.